the gray-washed streets of Bristol, a single mother named Emma Thompson walked with determination. Her weathered hands clutched grocery bags, her worn shoes clicking against the pavement. At 35, life had been a constant struggle, but her eyes held an unbreakable spirit. Michael, her 14-year-old son, waited at home. He was different from other teenagers, mature, quiet, and incredibly observant. While other kids his age were playing video games or hanging out with friends, Michael spent his time helping his mother and studying hard. Their small two-bedroom apartment was modest but immaculately clean. Faded photographs lined the modest wooden shelf, telling a story of survival and love. Emma worked 2 jobs, a morning shift at a local bakery and evening hours as a hospital cleaner. Every penny counted, and she was determined to provide the best life possible for Michael. Michael knew their financial situation was tough. He rarely asked for anything, understanding the silent sacrifice his mother made daily. His school uniform was always neat, his homework always completed. Teachers praised him not just for his academic excellence, but for his exceptional character. One chilly evening, as Emma prepared a simple dinner of pasta and vegetables, Michael sat at the tiny kitchen table, reviewing his mathematics homework. His sharp mind worked quickly, solving complex equations with remarkable speed. "Mom," Michael said softly, "I've been thinking about applying for a scholarship." Emma looked up, her tired eyes suddenly bright with hope. "Tell me more," she encouraged, sitting down beside him. Michael explained his plan. He had researched several academic scholarships that could help reduce their financial burden. His grades were exceptional, and he believed he had a genuine chance. Emma's heart swelled with pride. Despite their challenging circumstances, her son remained focused and optimistic. She remembered the day Michael was born, how alone she had felt when his father disappeared, leaving her with nothing but a broken promise and a newborn child. Richard Blackwood, a name she had tried to forget. A successful businessman who vanished the moment he discovered she was pregnant. No support, no acknowledgement, nothing. For years she had carried the pain of his abandonment, channeling her energy into raising Michael. Michael never pressed her about his father. He seemed to understand the unspoken pain behind the topic. Instead, he had become the man of their household, helping with chores, managing their tight budget, and dreaming of a better future. Their neighborhood was typical of working-class Bristol. Narrow streets, modest houses, people struggling but supporting each other. Neighbors knew Emma's story and respected her resilience. Mrs. Jenkins from next door would sometimes leave fresh baked goods, while Mr. Thompson across the street would help with small repairs. As night fell, Emma and Michael sat together, sharing their modest meal. They talked about his school, his dreams, his upcoming mathematics competition. Their conversation was filled with warmth, hope, and an unbreakable bond. "I'll make something of myself, Mom," Michael would often say. "I promise to take care of you one day." Those words meant everything to Emma. Each sacrifice, each difficult moment seemed worthwhile when she saw her son's determination. Little did they know that miles away, in a luxurious London office, a man named Richard Blackwood was about to be confronted by a past he had conveniently forgotten. Fate was preparing a reunion that would change everything. Their story wasn't just about survival. It was about hope, resilience, and the extraordinary power of a mother's love. A love that could overcome poverty, rejection, and seemingly insurmountable challenges. As Michael prepared for bed and Emma cleaned their small kitchen, neither knew that their lives were about to take an unexpected turn. The universe had its own plans, and sometimes destiny arrives when least expected. In this moment, in their small Bristol apartment, they were complete. A mother and son, united against the world, their bond stronger than any financial hardship or past pain. The end Richard Blackwood sat in his expansive London office, surrounded by glass walls and modern furniture. From the outside, he appeared successful, immaculately dressed in a tailored navy suit, perfectly polished shoes, and a confident demeanor. But inside, something always felt incomplete. At 45, He had built a significant financial consulting firm from scratch. His reputation was impeccable, his client list impressive. Yet a haunting emptiness resided deep within him, a secret he had carefully buried for 14 years. Every achievement seemed hollow. Expensive cars, luxurious apartments, and international business trips couldn't fill the void created by a single decision made long ago. The decision to walk away from Emma and their unborn child. That morning, while reviewing quarterly reports, a photograph caught his attention. A school magazine left accidentally on his assistant's desk featured a young teenager. Something about the boy's eyes struck him. Intense, intelligent, remarkably familiar. Richard's hand trembled slightly as he picked up the magazine. The boy's face seemed to mirror memories he had tried desperately to forget. Strong jawline, piercing eyes, an expression of determined focus. These features were uncomfortably similar to his own. His assistant Margaret knocked and entered. "Sir, your meeting with the international investors is in 30 minutes. Richard barely heard her. His mind was racing, memories flooding back like an unstoppable tide. Emma's tearful face, her pregnant silhouette, the argument that ended everything. He had been young, ambitious, terrified of responsibility. "Is everything all right?" Margaret asked, noticing his unusual silence. "Yes, perfectly fine," Richard responded, mechanically, his voice betraying nothing of his internal turmoil. Throughout the day, the boy's photograph haunted him. During meetings, while discussing million-pound investments, his mind kept drifting back to that face. Those eyes seemed to be challenging him, questioning his past decisions. At lunch in an exclusive city restaurant, Richard found himself distracted. Wealthy colleagues discussed investments and global markets, but his thoughts were elsewhere. What if the boy in the photograph was his son? What if he had a child he had never acknowledged? Guilt, a feeling Richard had masterfully suppressed for years, began to surface. He remembered Emma, her kindness, her strength, the way she had loved him unconditionally. And then, his cowardice in abandoning her when she needed support most. That evening, instead of heading to his expensive apartment, Richard did something unprecedented. He requested his company's research team to discreetly investigate a name from his past, Emma Thompson. His assistant looked surprised. "Is everything okay, sir?" "Just a personal matter," Richard responded curtly. As night fell over London, Richard sat in his penthouse staring at the city lights. The photograph of the unknown teenager remained on his desk, a silent accusation of his past actions. Something was changing. A feeling of restlessness, of unfinished business was growing stronger. The perfect life he had constructed suddenly felt like an elaborate facade. He thought about potential consequences. What if he had a son? What if that son knew about his existence? What if he approached Emma and Michael, disrupting their lives? Years of carefully maintained emotional distance were crumbling. The businessman, who had always controlled every aspect of his life, now felt vulnerable, uncertain. Sleep evaded him that night. The boy's photograph remained on his desk, a constant reminder of a past he could no longer ignore. Fate was preparing. A confrontation, and Richard Blackwood was about to be challenged in ways he never anticipated. His perfectly organized world was about to be turned upside down. And somewhere in Bristol, unaware of the storm brewing, Emma and Michael continued their simple, loving life. The end Michael Thompson stood at the front of his mathematics classroom, solving a complex equation on the whiteboard. His classmates watched in silent admiration as numbers and symbols danced under his chalk, revealing an intricate solution with remarkable ease. "Excellent work, Michael," Mr. Peterson, his mathematics teacher, said with genuine pride. "You're definitely our top candidate for the National Mathematics Competition." Michael smiled modestly. Unlike other teenagers who craved popularity, he found comfort in numbers, equations, and logical problems. Mathematics was more than a subject. It was a language of precision and hope. At home, Emma worked extra shifts to support his dreams. She knew education was Michael's ticket to a better life. Every additional hour she worked meant more opportunities for her son. Their tiny apartment became a sanctuary of learning. Bookshelves overflowed with mathematics journals, science magazines, and scholarship application forms. Michael spent hours studying, understanding that knowledge was his most valuable inheritance. The mathematics competition was approaching, a national event that could change everything. First prize included a substantial scholarship to a prestigious university. For Michael and Emma, this wasn't just a competition, it was a lifeline. Michael's preparation was disciplined. He practiced complex problem-solving techniques, studied advanced mathematical theories, and maintained a rigorous study schedule. His mother supported him silently, her love evident in every sacrificed comfort. Unknown to Michael, Richard Blackwood was slowly gathering information. His private investigator had started tracing Emma's whereabouts, collecting subtle details about her life and her son. In Bristol, life continued its steady rhythm. Emma worked, her hospital cleaning shift, carefully saving every penny. Michael attended school, his brilliant mind continuously expanding. Their bond remained unbreakable, a testament to a mother's unconditional love. Michael's mathematics teacher recognized his extraordinary potential. "You have a remarkable gift," Mr. Peterson told him during a private conversation. "Your logical thinking goes beyond standard academic expectations." The upcoming competition represented more than just a mathematical challenge. It was Michael's opportunity to prove that circumstances didn't define potential. Growing up without a father, with limited financial resources, he was determined to create his own path. Emma watched her son with quiet pride. She saw in him not just intelligence but character, resilience, kindness, and an unwavering commitment to growth. Her sacrifices were slowly transforming into tangible possibilities. Michael's preparation intensified. Practice tests, advanced problem-solving techniques, and theoretical research consumed his evenings. Emma would prepare simple meals, ensuring he remained nourished and focused. The mathematics competition would be held in Bristol's Central Conference Center. Participants from across the country would gather, each bringing unique skills and backgrounds. Michael represented more than just himself. He symbolized hope for every child from a challenging background. His competitors were impressive, students from prestigious private schools with advanced technological resources and extensive tutoring. Michael's preparation came from pure determination, limited resources, and an extraordinary mind. Emma's support was silent but powerful. She understood that education was the most significant inheritance she could provide. Every extra shift, every sacrificed comfort was an investment in Michael's future. As the competition date approached, tension and excitement grew. Michael remained calm, his mathematical mind processing potential scenarios with remarkable clarity. He understood that success wasn't about winning, but about demonstrating potential. Unbeknownst to Michael, Richard Blackwood was quietly watching. His investigator had provided detailed reports about the upcoming competition, about a brilliant young mathematician who bore an uncanny resemblance to him. The stage was set. A mother's love, a son's brilliance, and a father's forgotten past were about to intersect in ways none of them could predict. Michael's mathematical journey was more than an academic pursuit. It was a narrative of resilience, hope, and unexpected destiny. As Bristol prepared for the National Mathematics Competition, multiple lives were about to be transformed. Michael Thompson stood at the center of an unfolding story, his equation of life waiting to be solved. The end. The morning of the mathematics competition arrived with unexpected tension. Bristol's Central Conference Center buzzed with nervous energy as young mathematicians from across the country gathered, each hoping to prove their intellectual prowess. Michael stood quietly in the corner, his navy blue sweater pressed neatly, his hands slightly trembling. Emma had spent her last savings on ensuring he looked presentable, her pride evident in every carefully ironed crease. Richard Blackwood was also present, strategically positioned at the back of the conference hall. His presence was deliberate, calculated. Years of business negotiations had taught him the art of observing without being noticed. The competition began. Numbers, equations, and complex problem-solving challenges filled the room. Michael's mind worked like a perfectly calibrated machine. Each mathematical puzzle became a playground for his extraordinary intellect. Hours passed. Participants struggled, some gave up, but Michael remained calm. His fingers moved swiftly across the answer sheet, solving problems that seemed impossible to others. Mr. Peterson watched from the sidelines, his heart swelling with pride for his exceptional student. During a brief break, Michael walked to the refreshment area. That's when it happened, the moment of unexpected encounter. Richard Blackwood, seemingly by coincidence, stood near the water cooler. Their eyes met. For a split second, the world seemed to pause. Michael saw a stranger whose face felt uncomfortably familiar. Richard saw a young man whose every feature screamed of a forgotten past. "Would you like some water?" Richard asked, his voice controlled but slightly trembling. Michael, always polite, accepted. "Thank you, sir." Their interaction was brief but charged with an unspoken connection. Richard noticed Michael's mathematics competition badge, his precise movements, the intelligence that radiated from his eyes. Emma, busy working her hospital cleaning shift, had no idea of this momentary encounter. She was praying for her son's success, unaware that fate was weaving an intricate story. The competition's final round approached. Michael remained one of the top 3 contestants. His mathematical solutions were not just correct but approached with a creativity that impressed the judges. Richard watched, a mixture of emotions flooding his system. Recognition, guilt, pride, feelings he had suppressed for years now bubbled to the surface. The boy before him was more than a stranger. He was the son he had abandoned. As Michael solved the final complex problem, the conference hall fell silent. His solution was not just mathematically brilliant but approached the problem with an innovative perspective that stunned the judges. Whispers spread. "Who is that boy? Where did he come from? Such extraordinary talent." Richard felt a surge of emotions he couldn't explain. This wasn't just a talented student. This was his son, the child he had walked away from years ago. The judge's deliberation took time. Michael remained calm, his mathematical mind already analyzing his performance, understanding his strengths and potential improvements. When the results were announced, Michael had won first place. The scholarship, the recognition, the moment of triumph. It was all his. Emma would be overwhelmed with joy, her sacrifices finally bearing fruit. Richard Blackwood approached Michael after the ceremony. "Congratulations," he said, extending his hand. Michael shook it, polite but slightly confused by the stranger's intensity. Something about the man felt familiar, yet completely unknown. In that moment, multiple lives stood at a crossroads. A mother's love, a son's brilliance, and a father's long-buried guilt were about to collide in ways none of them could predict. The mathematics competition was more than an academic event. It was a turning point, a moment where past and present would intersect, where secrets would begin to unravel. Michael, holding his trophy, had no idea that his life was about to change forever. The equation of his existence was about to be solved, with variables he never expected. The end, the aftermath of the mathematics competition, changed everything. Michael's victory wasn't just about a trophy. It was a moment of transformation for 3 lives that had been separated for years. Richard Blackwood made his first deliberate move. He approached Emma through a carefully crafted letter requesting a meeting. His words were measured, respectful, filled with an acknowledgement of his past mistakes. Emma's hands trembled when she read the letter. 14 years of silence, of painful memories of raising Michael alone, all came rushing back. The man who had abandoned her was now seeking contact. Michael remained unaware of the brewing storm. His focus was on the scholarship, on future opportunities. He had dreams of studying advanced mathematics, of creating a better life for himself and his mother. When Emma decided to meet Richard, she chose a public cafe in Bristol, neutral ground, safe and controlled. Michael was at his university orientation, giving her the privacy she needed. Richard arrived precisely on time. Gone was the young businessman who had walked away years ago. In his place sat a man weighted by guilt, by years of silent regret. "No, I have no right," Richard began, "but I want to know my son." Emma's response was measured. Years of pain had taught her caution. She wasn't angry. She was protective. Michael's life had been built on her sacrifices, her love, her unwavering commitment. Their conversation was complex. Richard spoke about financial support, about wanting to be part of Michael's life. Emma listened, her eyes revealing a mixture of pain and potential hope. "Michael doesn't know you exist," she said firmly. "Any step forward must be carefully considered." Richard understood. He shared details about his successful business, about feeling incomplete all these years. Emma listened, watching him carefully, measuring his sincerity. Weeks passed. Careful. Conversations continued. Michael remained focused on his studies, unaware of the negotiations happening behind the scenes. The turning point came during Michael's first university semester. Richard requested a careful, supervised meeting. Emma agreed, understanding that secrets couldn't be maintained forever. They met in a quiet Bristol restaurant. Michael, polite and curious, listened as Richard shared his story. The truth emerged, slowly, carefully, with respect for the pain of the past. Michael's response surprised them both. He was neither angry nor overwhelmed. His mathematical mind processed the information logically, understanding complexity beyond emotional reaction. "I have a mother who sacrificed everything for me," Michael said. "Nothing changes that." Richard offered financial support for Michael's education. Not as a replacement for lost years, but as an acknowledgement of his responsibility. Emma, after careful consideration, agreed. The scholarship Michael had won, combined with Richard's support, opened unprecedented opportunities. Advanced mathematics, programs, international research possibilities, doors that seemed impossible now stood open. Emma's years of hard work had prepared Michael for this moment. Her love, her sacrifices, her unwavering belief had created a young man capable of processing complex emotional landscapes. Richard wasn't seeking forgiveness. He was seeking connection, understanding. Michael's brilliance, his character, became a bridge between a painful past and a potential future. Their story wasn't about perfect reconciliation. It was about understanding, about growth, about the complexity of human relationships. Michael continued his studies, his brilliant mind focused on solving mathematical mysteries. Emma watched with pride, her love a constant, unchanging force. Richard remained present, not as a dominant figure but as a supportive presence. The mathematics competition had been more than an academic event. It became a turning point, a moment of revelation, a chance for healing. 3 lives, once separated by a single decision, now moved forward with understanding. Michael represented hope, the possibility of growth beyond pain, of building bridges where walls once stood. His mother's love, his father's acknowledgement, his own extraordinary potential, these became the coordinates of a new journey. The equation of their lives, once seemingly impossible to solve, had found its elegant solution. The end.